All right, Happy New Year! 2021 is here, and episode 22 of Heat and Low begins now, where the NHL released a modified schedule for this upcoming season. Our Las Vegas Raiders miss out on the playoffs after a great start to this last season. UNLV Running Rebels looking to resume play this next week, and we have a huge player re-signing with our UNLV football team. So grab your apple cider and let's sip. First things first, Golden Knights, we're getting back into action. It's been a while. We looked at it. The Stanley Cup last game was September 28th. So yeah, it's been October, November, December. I mean, I guess you think about it, it's only been 3 months, but man, it's felt like an eternity, especially for our Golden Knights, who, were kicked out in the Western Conference Finals to the Dallas Stars. But everything is coming back. The NHL released that this upcoming season is going to start on January 13th with a 56-game schedule compared to an 82-game schedule. I think this is to stay on track so they can finish around the normal time they do, which is kind of in that May, June route, because typically they start in October, similar to the NBA, and then finish sometime in the late spring, early summer. So they want to, I think, keep that time frame. So it's only 56 games this year, and there will be no preseason games. They're just going to jump right into it. And the other thing is teams are going to be separated into several divisions. So typically our Golden Knights are in the Pacific Division, but this year they're doing a West Division. So they're kind of doing a region division. So the West Division consists of the Anaheim Ducks, which is the Golden Knights season opener on January 14th, the Arizona Coyotes, Colorado Avalanche, the Los Angeles Kings, the Minnesota Wild, the San Jose Sharks, and the St. Louis Blues. Now, a lot of those teams are already in the Pacific Division. The only exceptions are the Blues, the Wild, and the Avalanche. But everybody else is in the Pacific Division, and so this is slightly different because we're taking away the Canadian teams that are also in that division, which include the Edmonton Oilers, the Calgary Flames, and the Vancouver Canucks. They're actually in their own Canadian league or division, so it's pretty interesting this year. And the rules are the top 4 teams in each division will qualify for the Stanley Cup playoffs, which will be best of 7 series. And then once you, or if you advance from there, then you're going to be seeded according to your point total, which is how they normally kind of seed the team. So a little bit different this year. Now we're going to talk about, more of the playoff structure if the Golden Knights are able to get to the playoffs. Now they've reached the playoffs in each of their first 3 seasons. So, and I mean, expectations are pretty high. They brought in a couple of, big time players. Fleury's back. And so, it should be a great, exciting team. I'm really looking forward to it. Again, with only 56 games, that's a little more than half of what they usually play. So the Golden Knights are going to have to really be on it. But I believe in them, and I think, seeing what Pete DeBoer, the head coach, did last year in his inaugural season, I think there's a lot of promise now that he's gotten a familiarity with the team. Hopefully he can ascend them and they can keep going. Because, again, I think last year they had all the capability to win it all. And, they fell a little short, but expectations, again, are once going to be high. I feel like they've kind of been high ever since they came into the league, with the exception, I guess, with the first year, because you didn't know what you're going to get. And they go to the Stanley Cup Finals, and from there it's kind of like, all right, this is a Stanley Cup Finals, or bust team. And so I feel like they this is kind of their prime. They got the players to get it done. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, but that is kind of what's at stake. And also, I forgot to mention, the 56-game season will just be the intra-division. So the teams I mentioned, the Ducks, the Coyotes, Avalanche, Kings, Wild, Sharks, and Blues, those are the only teams the Golden Knights are going to play. kind of how baseball was this last year, where they kind of stuck to playing within the region, and then they got to the playoffs and they kind of did it like a regular seeding. It's going to be similar with the NHL. So they're only going to be playing these 8 teams throughout the whole 56 games. So, you play them 8 times 7 is 56. So there you go. You play each team about 7 times. It's going to be a lot of repetition. There's going to be a lot of familiarity with these teams and how to play them, which can be an advantage for that. But when you get to the playoffs, then you're going to be seeing some teams that you're not accustomed to. So we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out. But that is all we know. Again, January 13th, the season starts, but Golden Knights begin their season on January 14th against the Anaheim Ducks. So we'll it's gonna be interesting. Glad to know hockey is back, and as always, go Knights, go! Okay, this next topic, our Raiders. It's been tough. They began the season 6-3, had a lot of promise. I said they should finish second in the division behind the Chiefs, which technically at the end of the day they're going to finish second in the division, but the Chiefs sitting at 14-1. The Raiders right now 7-8, really just struggling. I don't know what happened. Actually, I do. It's the defense. The defense has not been great. Derek Carr, I know I said this is a make or break year for him. He made it. This was a great year for him. It really falls on the defense and John Gruden. This last game against the Dolphins, they needed it. They needed a lot of things to happen, but they just needed to take care of what they needed to control what they could, and they didn't. They led 13-6 at half. They actually got Tua benched. Rookie quarterback for the Dolphins, kind of struggling. Brought in the veteran Ryan Fitzpatrick, who, they sometimes call him Fitzmagic, and he had some of that in this game. So basically, John Gruden decided they were down 1, kick a field goal, they would be up 2 with about 19 seconds left in the game. Josh Jacobs had a chance to score. He knelt down at the 1-yard line. Obviously, that's what Gruden told him to do, because he wanted to waste as much time as he could and leave Miami with minimal time. And again, I get the strategy, but at this point, score the touchdown, because if you do, you're going to be up by 5-6 points. You're forcing Miami to have to score a touchdown. Sure, maybe they're going to have a little more than 19 seconds, but that's still a tall task to ask for. Rather, you leave them with 19 seconds, which still, in hindsight, is like, oh, that's going to be tough, no timeouts, but you're only up 2. All they need is a field goal to win. Ryan Fitzpatrick just throws up a miracle. Can't even see his face mask was being turned one way, so that was a penalty. And then there was blown coverage in the secondary. The receiver who caught it, I can't remember who it was, but he was wide open. And so it was just like the Raiders kind of were like, hey, we're going to just throw this game, at least defensively, and that's been the problem this year. Paul Gunther was fired because he wasn't taking care of his defensive duties, and that's something that really needs to be addressed in the offseason, because it's, again, this team is talented enough to go a long way, but the defense really just hasn't helped them out at all. So with that penalty and the additional yardage they were able to get, they set up Jason Saunders for a 44-yard game-winning field goal. He and actually Daniel Carlson of the Las Vegas Raiders, they've been 2 of the more consistent kickers in the league this year. But Jason Sanders, you give him that. That's kind of like an open 3-pointer for Steph Curry. So he was able to make that with ease and carried Miami to a much-needed win, because they're trying to elevate themselves in the playoffs for the first time in about a decade, almost something like that. And again, I said this wasn't on Derek Carr. He was finished with 336 yards and 1 touchdown. 155 of those were to Nelson Aguilar, and then Darren Waller had 112. So over the course of the season, those seem to be his his 2 favorite receivers. Last game, or the final game, I should say, the Raiders will travel to Denver to take on the Broncos. But like I said, the playoffs are off the table, so it's kind of nothing at stake. I will still, cover it and kind of give you an overall rating of what I feel. But I think offseason notes, again, defense needs work. Offense, you got talent. You got Derek Carr proved himself this year. I really like Darren Waller. They need to hang on to him. Nelson Aguilar has brought that veteran presence. Jason Witten, not so much. Henry Ruggs and Hunter Renfrow, they've had some highlights this year. Josh Jacobs, you didn't know what you were going to get from him this year after amazing a rookie career last year. So hopefully he can bounce back next year. But it's really the defense. The defense, yes, you have Jonathan Abram in the secondary, Trayvon Mullen. You have some young players, but again, that needs some work. The defensive line needs some work. They tried to bring in Corey Littleton and Nick Katagorowski. So again, they tried to bring in these players, but overall it just didn't mesh. And so that's going to be an issue. And, next week after they finish their final game, I'm going to give what I think should happen in the offseason as well as a final grade of how they finished the season. But yeah, kind of a disappointing end to an impressive start and really a fresh start moving to Vegas and everything. I kind of hate to see it end like this, but again, it's just 1 year. In a COVID year, very weird. So hopefully next year we're able to get some fans in there, get some support behind this team, and we'll see hopefully a different result. We're playing basketball. Yeah, that's a shout out to Lil Romeo. Now I know it's not Lil Romeo, it's Bow Wow. You know, yeah, that was my movie growing up. Like Mike, I actually left my shoes outside once in the rain because I was hoping it'd be struck by thunder or lightning. Struck by lightning, and then all of a sudden, I'd be like Michael Jordan. Anyway, basketball, one of my favorite sports, and we've been missing it from our UNLV Running Rebels. We've had several members in the organization test positive from COVID-19, including Coach TJ Otzenberger, which is why they decided to suspend this season. Now, their last game was December 5th, where they got their first win against Kansas State. They had games against Eastern Washington and Pepperdine canceled, and their conference play games against Wyoming and San Diego State have been postponed, so those are looking to be made up. But there has been talks that this Monday they are planning to resume practice. TJ is doing much better, and, so they'll be able to make up those games and then, play the rest of their conference schedule before we get to the Mountain West tournament, which will take place in mid-March. But again, it'll be great to see them come back and just compete. Again, I think TJ, there's a lot of promise with this team. You look at it, they're 1-4 so far, but I really think in conference, this is where it really matters. And so hopefully they can kind of, maybe they took this additional time to kind of just, I want to say, practice. And I'm sure the players have been practicing on their own. Obviously, it's been different not having TJ around. But hopefully they can kind of rally around this whole situation, and that'll motivate them to just come out swinging. But that's where we're at with that. They're looking to get back on track this Monday. I will keep you updated. Hopefully that will happen, and then we'll start rolling out the game. All right, so for you wondering who's returning for UNLV football, it is senior running back Charles Williams. He recently announced that he will be returning to UNLV to play in the 2021 season, and he has a chance. Maybe this is his motivation to become the UNLV's all-time leading rusher. He needs 793 yards this next season in order to do that. Right now, he's sitting fourth all-time in UNLV history with 2,940 career rushing yards. That's pretty amazing, and I hope for his sake he can get about 800 yards and be the all-time UNLV rusher. That would be an awesome kind of check mark in his book. But exciting news, and I think again he's the one that said, Coach Arroyo, he's smart, he knows what he's doing, everybody give him time, and I gotta back him on that. I do think rough first season, but nowhere to go but up. I mean, you start 0-6, you don't win any games. Okay, maybe that was Coach Arroyo's strategy. I'm just not going to win anything, and then all of a sudden I'm going to come back and we're going to go undefeated. I'm not gonna get hasty, but I do see a lot of promise with that, and that's obviously awesome news to have a veteran return and be a part of this amazing and growing team. And that's all I have for you this week. I hope you have a wonderful new year. Now we're in 2021, and I just hope it brings you a lot of joy. Yeah, that's maybe an understatement, but seriously, I hope after everything we all battled last year, obviously we all have our personal battles that we went through. I hope this year just brings a surmount of just elated energy, and I hope I can provide you with that every week. I try to. Thank you for rocking with me. I will see you next week. Hope your Christmas was fantastic and Santa hopefully came through for you. But the most important thing is family. No, I don't mean to get all somber. I'll see you then. You take care.